Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Accelerator Podcast, giving you practical and tactical tools to bridge the military and civilian gap. I'm your host, Michael Pett, along with Emily Grandinetta. Today, we're going to be discussing a very hot topic in the world of military transition. And for more of that, over to Emily.
All right, you guys, we're going to talk a little bit about something you've heard us reference, the Military Transition Framework, also known as Transition GPS. Okay, we're calling it a development in the world of military transition, but this has been around for quite some time, and it has been validated and proven incredibly useful over the last 20 years, 100 times over. And so it's time that you knew about it. And so the reason why it's important is because veterans, if you ever feel like the military transition process is just this endless chaos, like with no beginning, middle, or end, that's not true. It does have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's what the military transition GPS offers you. It gives you where it starts, where it ends. Employers, you may have the same question. What's happening with these veteran new hires I have? Or they started out strong and now it's not working out, or we got a rocky start, but now it seems to be going better. You need to understand this model so that you know what's happening and how to support your veterans. And coaches and HR and advocates of veterans and veteran employment, you need to understand this so that you can be part of accelerating the success of veterans. It's a tool that is very actionable. I'm going to show it to you now. Are you ready? You see this? Okay. It looks very simple. It's not as simple as it looks. It's what it's telling you is that it's a process, and veterans, you're in it where you know whether you know it or not. So isn't it better to know where you're at? This is the map that will help you figure out where you're at. There's actually a free assessment on our website, military.grandinetta.com, where you can go and start to kind of actually get a high level view of where you're at on this map. Okay. And it gives you a little description. That's just on the surface. All right. This is a tool that we use in every class we teach because it puts bounds around the experience. It takes this endless chaos experience out of the picture, and it gives practical, tactical tips and tools at every stage, not just what's happening when you're in that stage, but how you can progress yourself to the next stage. All right. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. So let me summarize this real quick. So I'm a veteran, right? Okay. All the veterans out there. So every one of the veterans that are out there or about to become veterans are going to be somewhere in that path, correct?
Yeah, it is because it's a human experience. It's not about it. Yes, it's something that is just happening. It's part of the process that we go through, whether we realize it or not, when we're making a big, huge life change. Like you are when you leave military service, it's way bigger than they tell you, that change, and you enter the civilian workplace or the civilian job market, and that's just like an echo chamber, right? And then you get into a civilian job, and that's the whole new other big huge change that is hard and hard to navigate for everybody. And so this now gives you the tool to navigate. I said this isn't new. I wrote all about it in my first book, Field Tested. It's thoroughly covered in my new book, At Ease. So this has not been a secret. We use it with every one of our coaching clients. We train HR professionals and line managers and everybody in how to use this to effectively engage on board and give ongoing feedback to your veteran hires and to increase the likelihood of retention. That's at the end of the day, you need ROI. And all the experts from Deloitte to other studies will tell you that ROI for any new hire takes 6 to 12 months. Well, if you're losing those new hires before that 12-month period, you've just thrown away all the money you invested in your veteran hiring program, and now you've incurred um, replacement cost. So come on, let's be smart, right?
So what you're telling me is not every service member is necessarily going to be at the same position when they hire them, correct?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why maybe hiring managers, right, need to pay special attention of this,
yes.
okay?
And
But what
your
about
recruiters need to understand it
recruiters too?
because they're
Okay.
out there evaluating all these job candidates, and your
hmm
HR folks need because they're the one receiving the ones who get hired, right?
hmm Okay.
So be smart.
Absolutely. And then for our coaches
Yeah.
that are obviously either signing up for this curriculum or
Hmm.
just super curious about working with the community,
Mm-hmm.
they themselves need to understand this too, so that way they can show up
Yes.
in the right way to help that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that they can, it's a great way you said it, to show up in the right way and be meaningfully impactful as a coach, because coaching veterans is not like coaching other leaders. It's different. And trust me when I tell you, 25 years coaching veterans in the workplace, I kind of know a little bit about this. Yeah. Yeah. So why not be smart and know where you're at on this map, right? I hate to keep the, I feel like a used car salesman. Anyway, but the fact is that, you know, each of these stages of the military transition process has unique characteristics and challenges. And so don't you want to know what that is so that you can like have mastery over it and you can really own your own transition and so that you can help your employees move through it quickly? You know, I'll tell you the one that, so, and as I said, this is featured in every course that we offer for all those audiences that we've mentioned already. And by getting everybody on the same page, it gives a sense of relief. It gives a sense of knowing where you're at and where you're going, and also it gives you practical tools and techniques for like moving through it. Like I said, the key thing is there is no timeline. So you'll notice that, you see a timeline here? No, there's no timeline, because it's different for every veteran, and their success in the earliest stage, which we call detaching, is going to determine how quickly they can move through the next stage, which is called regrouping. Okay, if you don't have help and support and insight moving through the detaching phase, regrouping is going to be hard, not just for you veteran, but for your employer.
Yeah.
And this is
If I
where the
can,
coaches get called. This is where the
right.
coaches get called in, right?
Right, right. But I think, if I can offer the veteran's perspective really quick,
Mhm.
I think it gives me peace and it gives me hope knowing that I'm going to go through a structured progression model, right? It's linear. There's a start point, there's an end point. Now, granted, my timing each of those phases could vary, okay? But at least I feel comfortable in knowing that there is a point by point by point that I can look to and I can look back on. But what makes me, yeah, real quick, one thing that I just want to finish, what makes me feel even better about it is that I can articulate it. It's being presented to me in a digestible way. GPS, land navigation, something I'm all too familiar with, being in the military, right? But I can probably help others understand. I won't be able to coach through them because I'm not obviously the certified coach. I haven't taken that, right? But if I were, I could comfortably walk folks through and help them understand. Now, as a hiring manager, as something you and I have both done, how that helps me understand is like, okay, not every veteran is the same, right? And obviously, you and I know that. But for some of our civilian friends out there that may be less familiar with the community, they may not know that. So that is another light bulb moment that makes me understand, like, okay, if I'm hiring this talent at this career level, they may be in a different position than this talent over here in this career level. That's really important to know.
Exactly. And the one distinction I want to throw in there, Mike, is that not everybody successfully makes it through the entire process because they get stuck in one of those first two stages, because they're complex. It's not easy. It's not just to check the box. It's like it requires new skills of self awareness, what we call situational self awareness, and self coaching. These are all things that we lean heavily into in our accelerated military transition course, because veterans need. Here's my thing. Okay, with all said with love and respect for all, veterans need to be smarter and readier for the jobs that they're so actively seeking. Okay, and employers need to be smarter and readier to spot, anticipate, and mitigate potential pitfalls and points of disengagement. Okay, you remember, Mike, when we were working at XYZ company together, we were working with junior military officers every day, all day, every day, and they just had so many complaints and issues, and they were making assumptions, and they had these unrealistic expectations, and they all talked amongst each other and got each other all spun up, and that was like when we realized, okay, this ERG, we need to get the ERG structured and run by trained mentors and coaches, in order for it to not become just place to bitch and moan, which, I get that. But anyway, and so didn't you, yeah, I know we talked about this all the time, was that these JMOs were just, it was all the same shit day after day. It's like we could have, like, why didn't the recruiters see this at the beginning and like filter out, or why didn't the onboarding do a better job of recognizing, oh, they're going to have these questions and misunderstandings and disengagement points. Let's address those at the front end so that we just clear the deck so that people have a clear runway to a successful onboarding. And that's when we built our veteran integration program. Right. That was so successful.
Yeah, and arguably, maybe most organizations don't have the ability to do a holistic approach like you created and I helped assist with. Um, you know, and that's okay, but without understanding the warning signs and the things, the characteristics and behaviors that you're speaking about, you're going to be in a challenging spot. And that's going to leave a bad taste in you as the employer's mouth, that as the service member's mouth, right? So it's got to be understood. It has to.
Yeah, so the call to action here for everybody listening, no matter which role you're in, maybe you're a veteran, maybe you're going to be a veteran, you're an employer, you're a recruiter, HR, advocate for veteran employment, whoever you are listening to this, arm yourself with this incredibly useful tool and learn it and know it and use it and share it. That's it. And so we're going to talk to you in upcoming episodes about some of the nuances of each stage, detaching, regrouping, and integrating. Actually, there's a fourth stage that we added in the last year after using this model for so long successfully. We realized there's actually a fourth stage, and it's the first stage. It's called pre-detaching. So we'll talk to you about that too. Yeah, and it's not complicated, but it's going to make a lot of sense. You're gonna once you know it, you're gonna be like, oh, now I get what's happening, or why I know why that happened back then. And it'll make sense, and it'll put you in a position to really own your transition in a more empowered and informed way, and for employers to do a much better job of onboarding and addressing, anticipating, and mitigating issues that often come up.
It sounds like this is going to save veterans time, or at least give them more of a why, right? And it also sounds as though this could potentially save employers money.
In the form of yeah, retention and actually getting some ROI on all that spend you make and investment in hiring veterans and getting on the best, we're the military friendly best of list. Those lists, you know what, and I just wrote about this in an issue of the new online newsletter, the Veteran Success Blueprint. Veterans like are seeing through those lists now. They're onto it. They get it that when they look at a list of military friendly employers or employers of choice, because they have used those as guides to getting jobs, and then they realize that the truth on the ground is completely different than what was in print in these, they realize, oh, that's just a PR play. Okay, well, so we know that, and so so the bar is moving. The standard has changed. It's for employers. It's not just getting your name on that list. It's actually delivering a better employment experience, not just for veterans, but for everyone, right? Raise your game. That's a direct path to retention and ROI. I don't, it's not rocket science.
Absolutely. Because let's talk about, something TA. I'm going to speak to this real quick. What happens if a veteran leaves after a couple of months? Okay, well, they're going to add that to the resume. Okay, why did you leave after 3 months? Okay, you have to speak to that Joe veteran, Sally veteran, right? That's going to be a problem. But then the organization has to repost that role. Okay. They have to market for that role. They have to make their recruiters and their sourcers and their hiring managers go back and re interview, which takes time and money and resources. It's a very complicated process, and it's very, very challenging to all employers to really think about. But the one thing that I have to speak about as a veteran, right? And as we talked about these, I couldn't help but think back of my own situation and where I was in all of those phases and how long and challenging it was without knowing, without knowing, without communicating with you, right? How complicated of a process that was,
Yeah, you
right?
just
And
knew it was hard and it was painful and
it was
you know.
awful. It was absolutely awful. And we've spoken to the other challenges that this could lead to. Okay. We don't need to go down that dark hole right now, but my gosh, folks, I hope you're taking notes. Okay. And then real quick, the one thing I want to go back to for anybody that's just tuning in for the very first time on this episode. Okay. You mentioned the military blueprint. Where can our listeners and viewers find that?
So that's on LinkedIn. It's a free newsletter. It's weekly. It's called the Veteran Success Blueprint. You can search for that, or you can go to my profile page, Emily King, MCC, um, and it just there's a subscribe now. It's easy, and there's such a robust and cool and exciting dialogue that goes on in that community. It's funny because the tagline of the newsletter is for employers who want to get it right, but most of the comments and the really robust discussion is from veterans who are reading that. And what's even more interesting is now I've got members of foreign armed forces, like in the UK. I have this big following there because they're like, yes, yes, this applies to us too. You know what I mean? So I want to end with one more thing, and this is a really interesting learning from some of the early research that I did when I was at Johns Hopkins, and it's very relevant to the veteran and to the employer and to everyone else. Just you reminded me of it when you said you know a veteran takes a job and they stay for 3 months and then they're back in the job market and they have on their resume you're only 3 months at play. Okay, so this is what we found when we looked at because we had anyway. Okay, what we found, one of the things that we found is that the issues that that would lead a veteran to leave a job prematurely, like before they get to that 12-month ROI for their employer, are often attributed to the employer, but they are actually not necessarily about the employer. They are functions of the transition process. So this is what we tell veterans that we talk to who are like, I don't like this place. I'm going to go over here where my buddy said it's much better over there. Is okay, look out, because it's very likely that the same reasons you have for wanting to leave this company, you're going to encounter all over again in this next company. And oh, by the way, in the next company. And at some point you have to turn and look and say, wait a minute, I'm the common denominator, right? So bypass that. And employers, you need to know that, because if you understand that some of the reasons why veterans disengage or they leave prematurely or they job hop, and that's what you see on their resumes, which, oh, by the way, is not a good look for veterans to have all these jobs. And especially if in an interview process a recruiter says, why did you leave this job? And you say, oh, it was just a terrible place. You're shooting yourself in the foot. And employers, it's a self-inflicted wound if you don't recognize the risk there, that new hire veterans are proven to be more likely to attribute their issues to your company by name and put out there, don't go work here, they're on the list but they suck. It's part of the process they're in, and you can help them recognize that and detach their challenges that they're from your company's brand. It's important. You have to be able to do that.
Hmm.
Now you know. Now you know.
And knowing's half the battle. G.I. Joe. Okay. But real quick, the other piece that I think is really important, really, really, really important for our folks to understand is as you speak about these organizations that are making a concerted effort to go after armed forces talent or talent from the community,
Mhm.
not every organization knows how to work with us. So, as we speak to this, as Emily shares and lays out the transition GPS, you, listener, are now informed about where you might be at or what you need to do. But if you're Joe or Sally veteran that's out there and you're looking to start applying for companies, just because somebody's got a sexy landing page that says we're hiring veterans doesn't mean that they understand the transition GPS, doesn't mean that you won't go through that revolving door. Okay. Super important to call that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So,
actually, just so we're giving we're bringing credentials into the market that the veteran can recognize and the employer can recognize. So
mhm.
because we cover this so thoroughly because it's so important to helping the veterans through transition in all our programs, that if you are a company that uses our accelerated military transition program, there's a digital badge you can put on your website that says we are a partner with this program,
Hmm.
and veterans can see that and know, oh, it's not just a name on a list, they really back this up with something. And the veteran who makes a personal investment to put themselves through that program through open enrollment, or has worked for another company that offered it, they put that on their resume and on their LinkedIn page to tell you, the employer, I'm already readier than anybody who doesn't have this credential. And
I love it.
these are industry accredited credentials. It's not
Yeah.
just some, again, a marketing ploy. This is
Yeah, my
legit.
6-year-old niece didn't draw this badge up, and
Right,
it
right.
isn't that. No, no,
Right. So
fair
we're
enough.
bringing solutions into the workplace and into the market. You just got to know what they are and look for them and find them. So, on that note, everybody, let's own this. Own your transition so that you can be empowered by it and not have it own you. And employers, understand the transition on a deeper level than you currently do so that you are smarter with your new hired veterans. It's all there and possible and ready for you. Let's just get it done.
Yeah, and to reiterate, the framework is fully laid out in M's book At Ease, a guide to a smooth and successful military transition. I mean, look at all these notes that I've taken, over the year, right? It's such a good book. I totally encourage folks to pick that up. Obviously, it'll speak more to the transition GPS as well. Okay. What do you think, Em? We got more, or we want to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. I mean, this was a lot to drop, and I really hope people listen and listen again and share this, because everyone's going to be smarter because of it, and that means there's a much quicker and more likely path to success and retention for veterans.
Absolutely. Don't
Yeah.
be a dumbass like me. Okay. I'm not calling you dumbasses. I'm saying I was one. Okay. Don't be a dumbass like myself and think, well, I joined the military by myself. I exited the military by myself. I could do all of this by myself. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Ask me how that worked out for me. All right.
That's another
Anyways,
episode.
that's a whole other episode. Absolutely. Okay. So join Emily's movement to do right by the veterans that are in transition. Okay. And subscribe, like, and share our posts. Okay. At the end of the day, no matter what role you play in the transition process, we want to thank you all for what you do.
Yep.
Emily, what's your tagline?
You can own your military transition so it doesn't own you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's it. I love it. Say
Okay.
goodbye.
All right, everybody. Be well. Take care. Take care of each other and yourselves.
Absolutely. And don't be dumb. All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.